Hello, hi. So thank you all for being here. I'm quite excited to talk about this because this is my passion. So I'm going to ramble about what a safe, personal online space focused on creativity, community, and self-expression could look like. In sociology, the third space refers to the social surroundings that are separate from your two usual spaces, your home, the first space, and the second place, the workplace. And as someone who codes for a living, but also as a hobby, attending meetups and conferences is my third space. And frequent attendance on these can build relationships and community. And my understanding is that LoopConf also strives for that. You may be here for training for work, but there's also people here who want to gather, interact, and build relationships. You may be looking at familiar faces you've seen before at previous events. So I want to share how my personal website became my online third space. And it's not a social media account, it's not a Discord server, it's not a private Slack channel, it's not a forum or a Facebook group, it's just my website. And by extension, how other people's personal websites became the same for me. My name is Ana Rodrigues, and I'm a front-end developer at the Tech for Good agency Hacktar. Our office is literally a 3-minute walk from here, which is quite convenient for me to be here today. And I've built my first personal website over 20 years ago, but unfortunately for me, I have no other hobbies other than coding. So I learned code by building fun signs as a preteen, and in the early 2000s, and that became my career. And my home on the web is my blog. This website was originally created sometime in 2014, but in the past, I've had multiple websites and blogs. I even had a very popular blog back in Portugal while I was in uni because I was blogging about uni life, and then I had to take it down when I needed a job, which, thankfully, most of these things are not aligned anymore because I was young, and as we know, we're all very mature and wise when we're young. When I first began to draft this talk, I realized that I was kind of stuck on how to build a story because I know the end of it. And the start is a bit long and muddy, and my cognitive dissonance was not helping. So in a slightly unorthodox strategy, I'll start by sharing what one of my main takeaways is. Everything takes time to build, understand, realize, and appreciate. So I'm going to attempt to start with the basics. What does it mean to have an online presence nowadays? For the majority of people, to be online or to have an online presence, it's to have an account on a website owned by a corporation or by someone with too much money. You may have a personal account somewhere, a professional account elsewhere, maybe a silly account in another place. But most people actually rarely open their browser nowadays. It's frightening. We don't go online anymore or surf the web. We're always on hold for a push notification. We go from the big screen on our desks to our little screen on our phones and open the same for websites or apps. Most of them, you can't even access the content unless you have an account. These are websites or apps that give you no transparency on how they use your data, no ownership, no privacy, and no safeguards, the landlords of the internet. But still, what does an online third space look like? To most people, it may be one of those websites. That's fine. It's most likely a group that they're a part of inside of those internet walled gardens. What does an online third space look like in 2025? Could it be a Discord, a Slack channel, a Facebook group, a Twitch stream, a subreddit? What did an online third space look like in the past? A PHBB forum, that was great. A live journal, an old chat room. But regardless of the tools and companies mentioned when answering these questions, they all seem to have something in common, a community to participate in. But the other thing that kept coming into my head was a place to wander about, like you would do physically, a park, a garden, a community center, a library. So let's go back to 2017 when it actually all began for me. I was feeling a frustration that I couldn't really explain. Tech Twitter was at its peak. My interest in Facebook was long gone. Instagram was still bearable. Snapchat was king. And I had forgotten I had a LinkedIn account. But yeah, I remember feeling stressed that I wasn't keeping up with all the cool tech posts from all the cool people on Twitter. The tech FOMO was real. And I had a blog starting in 2014, but who the hell was I to even dare to blog about anything technical? That was my thought at the time. I missed the whole web. The web I experienced that when I knew I could exist, that I could share without feeling afraid of carrying on being employable or cringe. I had nostalgia. I missed how I would share fun CSS tricks, and all the other teenagers who were my age would be like, yeah, this is great, I'm going to steal that. It was fun. And the current web experience gave me so much anxiety, and it brought up all my insecurities. That year, I went to a conference, and I learned about the IndieWeb community from a talk by Jeremy Keith called Building Blocks of the IndieWeb. And at the time, he spoke to me on a deep level, because I've always been the type of person who is very keen on learning and sharing publicly about code and my experiments in general. And ever since I started to work professionally, I lost that passion, and that mostly due to fear. And in 2017, my blog was 3 years old. From that talk, I learned about the Homebrew Website Club, which exists under the IndieWeb umbrella. It's a regular meetup for people who are passionate about or interested in creating, improving, building, and designing their own website. And in one evening, sometime in 2017 or 2018, I turned up. I was like, well, but I'm so glad I did, because I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't. Later on, I became one of the organizers. And I found myself the following year on the same stage as Jeremy Keith, sharing my frustration with how I wish the front-end community would blog more. And I tried to encourage people to do it. And my arguments were simple. If you only post on places like Twitter, the moment it is gone, all your content is gone. If it isn't gone, it isn't findable. You should own it. And you can have both, by the way. I'm not saying one or the other. And little did I know at the time that I was actually going to be proven right, because Twitter, as we know it, is kind of dead. And the front-end community is now split between places like Blue Sky and Mastodon. I was ranting about how we blog so little nowadays, but in 2018, I had less than 20 blog posts in a 4-year-old blog, which is, better than 0, but the audacity, that's like 5 blog posts a year, roughly. But it was a subtle sign that something wasn't right for me. So what is this IndieWeb? The IndieWeb community is about creating or improving your personal website while also helping others to build theirs, either by documenting or creating tools. And to help create an alternative to the corporate web, members of the IndieWeb community have built tools that anyone can use on their personal websites that help create the interaction between and community building between personal websites. The IndieWeb community believes that you should own your content, have your content and interactions first post on your personal website, and then shared on other platforms. And these are things like your articles, your status, images, likes, comments, could forever be in your ownership with a permanent link, and you can keep a record of it forever in case a platform or social media is deleted or you're banned. That happens. And it can look something like this. Imagine you have a blog. It shows the latest content published. In this case, Anna's blog, Anna, who is Anna? She posted an article called My New Article. It also has a post of type RSVP, a post of type liked, where she liked and linked to another article in another blog, and also a post of type reply or comment, where she replies to her own website to another post called Hello World from another website. Okay, seems a simple, typical blog. And then, on a random social media platform, Anna can post as normal, sharing the new article there. It gets 4 likes and 1 reply. Great. Smudge says, thank you for writing this. This is what we mean by post on your website first, syndicate elsewhere. There are ways of automating this, but I'll not be talking about them on this talk. You can chat to me later about this. But then, in the actual article, once you open it, my new article, you can backfeed the interactions received on that social media and show them and own them on your own website. This means that anyone, even if they don't use that social media account, can actually see all those interactions. So in this case, the likes you've received on that social media could be backfed to your article and show them. So would the reply that Smudge made originally on this walled garden. But the bridge can also exist to other websites. Imagine Jasper, he read Anna's article and has an opinion on it. So they create a blog post on their own website, a post of type reply, and they own that response. And using web mentions, that response can also appear on your article. If you use Ghost, my understanding is that web mentions may be a familiar term to you because, if I'm not wrong, it's the recommendations feature that is built on the web mention open standard. Yes, I got a yes. That's it. Got it. Nailed it. I've previously done a slightly more detailed version of this flow, which you can see, and it's available on the article I wrote about the IndieWeb for Smashing Magazine. It goes quite a bit more into more detail, especially with technical pointers and existing services that you can use so that you don't have to code this from scratch. But we are at LoopConf, which is great because you don't have to. WordPress folks have their life very easy, unlike me. All that flow was probably quite overwhelming, but the good news is that you don't have to worry about it. The IndieWeb community members have worked on some plugins to facilitate this interactive flow, but these may not work with the recent stuff, the block themes. I was told that, in particular, the web mention plugin has a really nice fallback that should work anyway. So visit the IndieWeb WordPress profile to check these out, and these are all open source. You can contribute to it as you wish. So maybe also have a look at indieblogs.xyz as it may suit your... Oh, I've just realized the QR code is being cut off by the curtain. It's OK, I have the link to the slides at the very end of this. All this information is available on our wiki as well, but you can also be able to get some clarity on our dedicated WordPress channel where members of the community is like, hey, this is what I experimented, and you can have questions about it, and people will gladly help. But the core message from the community is that we like to document in the open, share examples, and help out others. The community members have put a lot of effort in sharing their experience in the IndieWeb wiki, and we know it's not perfect. Don't come for us for that. And this is my profile in the IndieWeb wiki. It's quite shy, and it pales in comparison to the other people, but it's OK. You do what you can. It's not like you have to work for free all the time. And it's very overwhelming for anybody who doesn't understand the tech jargon at first. But the community tries really hard in their free time to bridge that gap by suggesting services like WordPress or microblog that support the IndieWeb by default. And this is an example. Don't read through this because it's not the point. The point is that this is just a page where we share how we build things. People in the community want to share that and how and why they build any feature on their websites. This is for the privacy policy. My example is at the bottom. We do that because we simply want to make everybody's lives easier. And for example, if I build something, we'll add ourselves to the list, say, hey, this is how I build, so that anybody can go and pick up an example and be inspired or copy. You can copy mine for all I care about. So it's 2020, the cursed year. And I'm writing more and more frequently on my blog. And I was like, I wasn't necessarily producing a lot of original content, but I was creating a roundup of links, small meta posts. I was writing a lot about the IndieWeb. I was excited. But then there was something, I should have been happier. I was part of a community. I was satisfied, but I wasn't there. There was something wrong. Something was missing. And it took me a while to figure out, but I was overwhelmed and I didn't notice it. No one was putting pressure on me, but working on my blog started to feel like a chore. I really wanted to do all these things that my IndieWeb peers were doing. They had so many cool things on their website. I wanted to blog more, didn't know what about. And at the time, the landing page of my blog was just a list of blog posts. And I was constantly feeling behind unnecessarily. Do you remember the cool flow I showed you before? Yeah, I wrote about it for Smashing Magazine, but I actually haven't implemented the majority of it. When I first started to participate in the community and attend their meetups and camps, I created this really unnecessary pressure on myself that I had to do it all, that I had to use all the protocols, all the cool APIs in order to create the full-fledged IndieWeb experience from my website to corporate silos to everywhere. And I wasn't achieving anything, so I had to take a big step back. And I've been saying this for a while. You don't have to over-engineer. And since 2018, I've been saying my goal is to have a micropub endpoint every time I go to an IndieWeb camp. And I end up only focusing on that and not doing anything else. To little success to this date, I don't have a micropub endpoint. So I believe this stops a few people from fully embracing the fact that they too are keen on doing things, but they're stuck. And like myself in the past, there's a lot of people who may fear that you're only a fully IndieWeb person if you build it all. And as lame as it is, I'm going to quote myself. I'm not less than the other people in the IndieWeb community for not having a fancy, automated, cool setup on my personal website. Nobody has ever made me feel that way. It doesn't matter if all you have is a simple page with your name and email. There is no right or wrong way, just what works for you. And yeah, it took me an embarrassing amount of time to realize, accept, and believe in this. If there is one place where you can do whatever you want and how you want it, it is your personal website. And a bit like turning a house into a home, I decided to let go of big ambitions and make the website cozy. I redesigned it. I imagined what my digital home could look like. I wanted sections to enter and explore like a digital garden. And they aren't finished, but the intention is there. I let go of design trends and I experimented, even if the code is rough and unprofessional. Personal websites are the perfect playground for experimentation. They offer a space to explore new technologies that may not yet be suitable for professional projects and a safe space to fail. I wrote a blog post called In Defense of Unpolished Personal Websites as a kind letter to myself, where I believe that my imperfect and unpolished code on my personal website isn't the full reflection of my technical abilities or knowledge of the web development standards. I forgot to surf the web. It was another problem. I was still stuck doom scrolling on places like Twitter. And to be fair, nowadays it's mostly Mastodon and Blue Sky and TikTok. But still, I was mostly going back to the same handful of hell websites. So I carved out time to add websites to my RSS reader. Reading posts not limited by character limits, posts not engineered to be promoted by an algorithm. LinkedIn is awful for this. Reading people's long thoughts without hashtags. What a joy having to go beyond bookmarks and blog rolls. What a joy it is to click links in 2025. And so I forced time to manually visit other people's websites, either via web rings or blog rolls. Admiring people's homes makes me want to work on mine, not because I want to keep up with them, but because they inspire me. They made me admire humans and admire their craft, because website making is a digital craft. Explore the little Easter eggs and truly pass time. This meant that I added things like a guest book to mine and signed others. I took the time to tell someone I thought their website was beautiful and brightened my day. And slowly, I built online friends. We started to respond to each other whenever we posted, sometimes via email, which is now the equivalent of a nice postcard. But there was still an itch, and I still had an online vague persona. And many of my past decisions were based on trying to have a professional online persona. And I had this rule of sandwiching a personal post and a technical post, and to make sure I look cool and employable. And this is caused by our horrible capitalist landscape of viewing yourself as a product. I still wasn't happy, and not everyone has this choice, but it wasn't working for me, so I had to fix it. I listened to a great podcast called Hurry Slowly, and they asked the question, who are you without the doing? And I couldn't answer. My personal life took turns in recent years that made me wish I could just run to a cabin in the woods, but I knew that part of the answer to my happiness was to live authentically, and to me, that meant not be defined by my job title. So I stopped saying I'm a front-end developer to I work as a front-end developer. And I applied these changes all over my website and social media bios, except LinkedIn. I stopped perusing my own archive from a tech gaze point of view. After all, turns out my most engaging posts are my personal posts. This led to more deep connections, more caring emails from readers, and new friendships blossoming. Things like my miscarriage, my dad passing away, the brutality of the pandemic, Brexit, etc. And tech trends come and go. The code you share might be outdated by the next update, but do it anyways, because it cements your expertise, but don't overthink it. And I want my personal website to be like visiting the living room in my home. Come hang out with me. Look at my bookshelf. Come see my bookmarks. Come, let's talk about it. And on my personal website, I can experiment, share, delete, and moderate as I wish. It's my comfort zone. And I don't need to see analytics, engagement, or Larkov, number of likes, comments, or whatever I don't want to. So it's now 2025, and my website's a constant work in progress, but it is now where I have joy spending time at. It no longer feels like a chore, just something to look forward to, like gardening, cooking, reading, baking, etc. It is now 10 years of archives that are findable, that I can link to even on this talk, that I can quote myself on. I know it was quite lame to quote myself, but I can back myself. And I can browse and relive memories. And I now have a better understanding of my goals with it, and I can change those goals anytime as well. If in 2015 you had asked me to delete the whole thing, I would have, because I would never appreciated it. You can't make me delete it now. And slowly but surely, scrolling on both screens became exciting. I have dozens of tabs open at once, and they don't feel like a chore. My website links to other homes, my website receives likes from other homes, my website sends likes to other homes, and we can reduce it to this. It's fine, I don't mind it. But my website exists alongside my first space, my home, and my workplace, my second place, without belonging to either. I receive and send interactions from the front-end community. Ideas and relationships are built through informal public interaction. I now find it playful, relaxing, and allows me to transition to my personal focus. That's the third space. Everything takes time to build, understand, realize, and appreciate. And yeah, sure, you may think, okay, it took you 10 years to probably reap the benefits of a personal website and blog. It could take me longer. Then let me show you my favorite gem from one of those hell websites. It doesn't matter, time will pass anyway, so why not? What else can I tell you? Oh, I don't have content to put on a personal website. That's not true. It doesn't matter. The goal of a personal website is to be reachable. Your content might just be your name and your email. That's fine. You can change it in mind anytime as well. Things I've shared might not apply to you today. That's okay too. You don't have to be a content creator to have a website. Recently, Paul Robert Lloyd shared a presentation that is a beginner's guide to the IndieWeb, and he made it all available on his website, truly living in the IndieWeb spirit, and I really recommend it. It gives a bunch of technical pointers if you want to get into it. The indie, small, cozy, fun, personal, whimsical web isn't gone. You're just not going to find it on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Reddit, etc. But if you want a starting point, People in Blogs is a weekly newsletter created by Manu. I've been privileged to be one of the people who was interviewed in the first series, in the first chapters. It's been over 100 interviews so far. That's 100 blogs for you to put under your belt. They also run the ye-old blog roll, which manually creates nearly 1,000 personal websites and blogs that are active and beautiful, manually created by humans. Phil created this wonderful U directory that they expand beyond tech. They have categories for you to browse and spend hours perusing and admire other people. The Good Internet is a physical and digital magazine that dedicated for hobbyists who just want to build for fun. And it's a wonderful joy thing to have. I got the physical copy at home, and it was such a joy to actually go through a magazine about my hobby, website making. The 32-Bit Cafe is a community of hobbyists and professionals helping to make the personal web fruitful and beautiful again. That's a lovely message and mission to have. I found this website after I started to do this talk. A website is a room. This person collated a bunch of websites they found and described why they make them feel nice. And they say, I came to this conclusion sometime during the quarantine when I realized that certain websites give me a sense of shelter and rest more than others. How beautiful is that? And it's all handmade by people like us. I would love to see any of you pop by to our chat and say hi, but it's okay if you don't feel like it. I know I'm biased. Join whatever community or safe space that feels better for you. And all I can wish for is that you find some time to embrace creating your personal website. This is an audience of engineers. You all know how to do it. You already have the perfect tool to start, and you have the knowledge. Most people wish they had that. They didn't even get to that stage. So whether you participate in the web community or not, by having your own personal website, you are as indie as it gets. In 2014, I started a blog. I didn't know then, but my life changed completely because of it. And funny enough, it was built with WordPress. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Before I ask any of you the question that I know you're anticipating, do you have any questions? I want to take just a few more seconds to reintroduce Anna, because I couldn't tell you this part without giving away some of the power of her talk. But in 2014, she started a blog. In 2015, she was invited to speak at this event. My event isn't our event. A lot to write home about. She has spoken at many events. She's a now well-known international speaker, technically speaking. And all of that happened. I discovered all the incredible things she's doing because she was writing a blog. So if you need another testimonial and why you should be maintaining your own website, ta-da! And she's done a lot of incredible stuff. And it started from that seed. Maybe I should write this down in a place that I control, where I can expand on the narrative and share my perspective. Thank you for that. Now that I've given you some time to pause and reflect, do any of you have any questions? Good. Okay. I saw this hand first. So I'm going to come back and catch it.
Quickly here all day, and I'll be able to drink some water. So.
Also true. I forgot to say that.
How do you hit the publish bar? Because when you're talking about your site, site is your living room, and I look around my living room and think, yep, it mirrors my site, which is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine is a mess. I have a bug. If you open my blog on the phone, there's a scrolling bug. And I talk about CSS the whole time. I haven't fixed the CSS bug. And it still works, and nobody cares. So actually, nobody cares. Just
nobody cares.
And nobody cares, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Yes, they care about what you write. They don't care that the site is a mess and oh, no, I got to fix the thing.
You can edit. After I publish, all the typos appear. It's bizarre. So I always have to go back and just constantly edit, add more nuance, add explanations. If you don't hit publish, you'll never know.
Yeah. Did all of you know that there's an edit button for the posts that you publish in WordPress? It's magnificent. Great advice. Okay, there were a bunch of hands. Who else? Right here, York.
Thanks. Very inspiring, especially from someone who's been aspiring to do that kind of thing for a long time with lots of failed attempts. But I was just wondering, in terms of separating your professional and possibly your personal, is there a kind of tips for that? And also, I just have the idea of the anonymous website where you're...
So I went through all those lives, yeah? So I went through a phase that I didn't want anyone to know my last name. I don't know, which explains my current domain. It's OLO Anna, because I didn't want to, for some reason, I was trying to separate the personal and professional life. So that's the domain that stuck, because I didn't want people to find me by my last name. I changed my mind since. This may not apply to everyone, but I'm not going to lie. I have another domain that is just basically a little bio with links to social media, a bunch of social media, and a link to my blog. That will be probably the link that's the link that I use as my main email. And if I was, to be honest, I've been in the same job for 8 years. I haven't been looking for a job. If I was, that would probably be the entry point I would send them. If they want to know me as a person, they can go to my blog. I've been through that phase. I didn't feel happy. This is not going to apply to everyone. But I do feel like now more than ever, I decide to be more authentic about how I show myself on the internet, because I also want to match my personality to the culture of wherever I work at. If they can see me for who I am and they still accept me and not punish me later for who I am, that takes a lot of barriers out of my way and a lot of things. I also, this is also, it is a privileged way of thinking. I'm quite lucky that I've always been employable, that I can go in this direction and be my true self. It's not like I'm being very too silly, but I think we all, to me, is about connect. If I were to think about the professional angle, to me, it's also about, I see it as a way to connect to the right people, because I don't want to work somewhere that doesn't let me be who I am. So that's how I see it.
Amazing. Tim, I also wanted to comment on your question. I've seen a lot of the stuff that you write. You should just hit publish on all of those drafts. Put them all out simultaneously, and then go back and just clean them up later if you feel compelled, or don't, because it's fine.
Then again, I'm here all day. Come chat to me. Otherwise, babysitter would have been for a waste.
Yes, amazing. Please give another round of applause.
Thank you.